Hi, I'm Lucy Hart Paulson, and I have a passion for early literacy and early language. And one of the things that you won't be surprised about in developing language is that every word counts. In the 1990s, Hart and Risley published a study on a major work that they did in identifying what was the language environment in young children, and how did that impact the way that they subsequently learned how to talk. And one of the major findings of the Hart and Risley study was that the sheer number of words that children heard in their language environments was highly correlated to their language development at age 3, not surprising, but it was also highly correlated to their academic success in grade 3. Words count. They extrapolated from their data that children coming to kindergarten, some who've had heard and had a great, rich language environment, and some who didn't have as rich of a language and learning environment, there may have been as much as a 30 million word difference in the number of words that children heard. That subsequently has been called the 30 million word gap. Well, that absolutely got the attention of early childhood educators, of researchers, of policymakers. And today we have a much greater understanding of the importance of those first years in building the foundations of oral language to written language onto life success. But is it just about the number of words that a child hears? If we just surround them with all kinds of words, is that enough? So subsequent research has helped us understand that no, it's not just words in children's environments, it's how we use those words. And they've identified that social interaction is key and critical. Child-directed language is another critical aspect, and social responsiveness is the third piece. So you take those three elements that have been substantiated in the subsequent research from the Hart and Risley study, and we can look to a parallel in the 30 million word initiative that was the brainchild of Dana Susskind, who is a neurosurgeon, and she performs cochlear implant surgeries for young children who were born deaf or profoundly hard of hearing. And she also saw the impact that that language environment had in children's ability to learn language. And so in her passion of helping children, she created this initiative, which has 3 very eloquent yet simple aspects or components to it. 3 T's: tune in, talk more, and take turns. So when you tune in, it is looking at and noticing, observing what your little friend, what your little person is paying attention to. That's being socially responsive. And being socially responsive is going to help you generate the language that is going to be the most important so that those words count. So tune in. Then the words count when you talk more. And talking more in an environment that's going to help children learn in the best ways is by using child-directed language. Now, child-directed language is when you speak at a slower rate, you use lots of inflection, you also use lots and lots and lots of repetition. So child-directed speech is very important. Interesting research study looking at families who, in their best interest of their children, wanted to have them participate in much more structured and formal language, adult-directed, in essence, language, because they thought that that would help their children even better. But when you looked at language development of children who only got to participate in that adult-directed language in comparison to children who participated in more child-directed language with slower rates, more intonation, and repetition. The kids in the child-directed experiences and opportunities were doing better. Okay, so tune in, talk more. The third one is take turns. And of the three, this one is probably the most important. It creates that opportunity for social interaction. And it truly is the live interaction that occurs that makes words count. It is the serve and return. I say something that you're interested in, you get to return and say something back. And that is the essence of how we can build really strong language foundations in young children. Now, tune in, talk more, take turns. Susskind also added a fourth one. You might think of what that might be. Turn it off. And one of the things that we see in our world where screens are everywhere is that it may inadvertently take away the opportunity for that live interaction. Screens can be socially isolating. And the best way to learn language, in fact, the only way to learn language, is in a social environment. So, when we come back to all of this, language is so important for the development of social and emotional skills. It's a huge part of executive functioning skills and self-regulation, and it is an absolute vital foundation for literacy learning. So when we help families know, early childhood educators know, these are the things that we need to do to build those very strong language foundations. We need to make sure that it's in a socially interactive manner, using child-directed speech that's socially responsive.